You're
Hey,
now live. Hey, hi, hello, Plymouth. Welcome to Bill Tucker is here. He is our guest today for spiritual practice. We're going to be doing things just a little bit different today. If you haven't figured that out by the split screen yet, we are going to be checking in with some of our Plymouth members and staff on the occasional Monday to see what spiritual practices you are doing and how they're working for you. So, Bill, I even used a fancy thing.
there's a
We can
fancy.
do, can you see this?
Wow, that is pretty fancy.
I'm
That's pretty
I'm
fancy.
playing with the new toys.
I'm
And if
excited.
you all are watching on Facebook Live, you should be able to chat, and we should be able to respond. So
Ooh, I
yeah,
can even see the public chat, can't I?
yeah. So you need to do public chat, not host chat like we were before. But anyway, Bill, I am so grateful that you are here and that you took the time to be my guinea pig for this.
Yeah, I'm happy for crazy parents.
I mean, if there's anyone to try something crazy and new in technology, it's going to be you. So thank you. I'm just so excited it worked. But let's jump in and let me ask you, what spiritual practices have you found meaningful in this time of pandemic?
Well, so I normally was working at home, so I work as a remote software person. So it's not like my life really had to change. This is, it's like I've been training my whole life for this moment where I can sort of hide alone at home and work from home. But the big change for me has been everybody else is at home too, and that is different. And so one of the things that's been meaningful for me is to practice the morning sitting, where I would do like some Zen meditation, where I would just sit and be quiet, sort of in forcing myself to be quiet and not succumb to all the distractions that happen. So, I mean, sometimes that, and then as far as a spiritual discipline, that does require me to get up early so that no one else is awake, so I can sit quietly. Today I did it sort of like about noon, and about halfway through someone turned the faucet on outside. And of course I've got like an air bubble. I don't know if you've ever had like an air bubble in your plumbing somewhere, but it sort of screams. You turn it on, it screams. Unless you turn it on all the way, that's quiet. But if you turn it on like maybe 3/4 of the way or half the way, it just makes this loud roaring noise. And so that is also part of the spiritual practice. We can't predict what's going to happen to us, and we just have to kind of accept that and kind of go forward.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, I don't know if and I guess that's more of a spiritual practice. But one of the things that I've also been doing, which I'm not sure I really put it in a category of like, well, he's really practicing something spiritual, is I've been working on my posture, because often at home, especially when you're, I think everybody's probably had some sort of change in their schedule. Like even me, where I'm used to working at home, some of the setup has changed. And so I've been trying, and one of the things that's important, like when you're, like a desk jockey all the time, is to have good posture, have good ergonomics. And so posture is one of the things that I've been trying to practice, because it's something, one, I can do anywhere. I could do it almost regardless of the distractions that I'm experiencing. Whether I'm sitting on the couch typing, or if I'm going for a walk. I'm doing a little bit more walking these days. I practice my posture as I walk. Or if I'm sitting on a Zoom meeting, I could practice, like, how am I sitting? What is that telling me about myself? I think a lot of times, sometimes our life pressures, they just sort of crush us and turn us into this sort of this miniature atlas, where we have the weight of the world sort of on us. And I think it's good to realize that that's all an illusion. we can stand up and shoulder whatever burdens we've been given, if we apply the proper spirit, the proper attitude to correct our posture. So, for me, it's been great.
Practicing that look like?
What does practicing that look like?
Yeah,
that's a good question. So, I don't know how it appears to the outside, but internally, there's a couple different things I pay attention to. One is sort of a structural thing, like, hey, do I feel like I'm standing up straight, or I feel like I'm kind of hunched down, or whatever. So part of it is sort of that physical, like, okay, here's some checks, like, am I, do I feel erect? Where is the position of things? What's my sort of attitude of my body? But another thing is sort of that internal, when you stand up straight, or your position, like if you've ever done theater, they'll make you do like, oh, I have, act like a different character. And they're like, oh, if we walk with a different posture, walk a different way, it feels different. And so it's not just doing, like, practicing your posture isn't just doing a mental checklist of like, okay, do I feel like I'm sitting up straight? Am I not doing these bad things? Am I doing these good things? It's not just that. It's also carrying this feeling, this attitude, so that, because those feelings are a lot easier to feel. And so by embracing that feeling, it can let you quickly assume the posture, or quickly do a correction without having to run through all the checklists. Although I think checklists are good, but that's sort of another deeper level of that spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Your attitude, the feeling I want to have, and then the noticing of the feeling. Like when I am having good posture, this sort of feed back and forth. Which now that I'm walking, I'm feeling comfortable. I'm like, do I? Wow, look at my mood might change, my attitude might change, the kind of thoughts that I think, those can change. And I think that in this sort of this, there's crazy news on, there's all kinds of disruptions to normal being, and I think that that practice has really helped me sort of weather and adapt to those unforeseen circumstances, so that I am aware of how my environment is affecting me, whether it's like, oh, I have to sit on the couch for another few hours, or I have to go for a walk, and the things I just read on Twitter make me so angry. Those things, how they affect me, the posture provides a feedback of like, oh, wow, I really am sort of processing this with my body. And how do I want to process that? Do I want to accept all these awful things, or do I want to let them go and release them, and have a different attitude, a lighter attitude, a more structural attitude, where I feel, I don't know, it helps me feel happier, more even, more, I don't know, it helps renew me, helps me give me back that balance from, whether it's a loud faucet noise in the corner of my room, or crazy things said on Twitter. It helps me return to a place of balance. And that's why I like doing it.
I'm like, as you're talking, like, I'm finding myself like, okay, how am I sitting right now? Like, and I think that I totally hear you on the posture piece of it, because there are times, like if I'm sad or upset, like I feel myself curling in, and I feel stronger and more balanced when I'm more mindful about how I'm sitting. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And it's such a simple.
It sounds simple. It sounds so simple, but it's really powerful. Awesome. Okay. We're going to. Whoop, no,
a new question. New question.
Trying. Start. Nope. Did that one. Next item. There we go. It should. There. I'm really proud of that question feature. So where or how have you seen or experienced God lately?
So last night I went mountain biking. I think this is maybe the first time I've gone mountain biking with my family in a while. We went up to Pine Ridge, that little kind of, there's like a little trail around there with a little lake and whatnot. So I took Zara and Peter, and man, there's just all kinds of little obstacles, and then they get magically solved. So look, one of the bike racks that I have, it's not fitting on the new car rack, but I found like some, I was able to fit both bikes inside, or two bikes inside the car, and grab like a pool noodle, I think it was a couple pool noodles to kind of keep the bikes from scratching themselves up and damage each other. It's just like, here's an obstacle and here's an answer. There was and just little things like that, like where are the tools for this? Where's the pump? Oh, but we found this other one and stuff. And then when we got there, we got all unpacked and did a ride, and we got up to the Pine Ridge. And I don't know if you know Pine Ridge, but there's like, when you come from the parking lot, there's this big, steep, windy, there's a couple of them, but they're all pretty steep and windy till you get up to that ridge. And then you can look out. It's one of the higher points on the west side of Fort Collins before you get to the real hogbacks, the real, like above, like where the A is and stuff. It's this little tiny hogback, maybe an infant hogback that is part of Pine Ridge, and sort of separate Fort Collins from the lake and that little natural area. And so we got to the top of that, and and my son said, "Okay, let's go." And he just went down that that road, and there's a lot of loose gravel there. And I haven't. I told you this is like the first time I've taken my family mountain biking, and so I saw him crash. Right, if you've ever ridden those trails, you go down the backside, and they have this really steep hill, and then it comes to right a T. Like, oh, you better slow down here. And then they conveniently, because as you go down, you're at your fastest right at the bottom. Of course, all the erosion from those limestone trails, they take all the rocks and they put them near the bottom. So then it's loose. And so like, well, I'm getting my top speed, I better brake. And then you brake, and then you're braking in loose gravel. And then he wiped out. And so that's almost like before your eyes. You see this crisis, and then to see my daughter drop her bicycle and run to her sibling's aid. To me, that was just it was really that response that I love to God, that compassion, the unhesitating ability to reach out to others in need. And those are the kind of the two places that I saw God recently.
Thank you for sharing that. Don't tell my so often. Tell them what? It's not like this is public or anything. So
right, I don't keep my watching. So. Just us, just you and me.
Yeah. No one else is here. It's fine. Yeah, I think God shows up in love for one another so often. So, yeah, thank you. All right. Last question. What is one thing that you are grateful for right now?
Well, I mean, I am really excited about this video technology. Now, I mean, you kind of outed me as like a little software nerd, but isn't this amazing? I mean, you are in a completely different city, and I am here, and we were able to talk live. Like, I mean, they had Dick Tracy in the 30s, and finally it's here. We could have this live communication, and not only that, but so there are like nerdy things you can do, and like you could have done this previously before, but you couldn't do it with anybody. You had to have someone with the right setup, the right tools, familiarity with those tools. Right. But this pandemic has really forced other people to learn some of those tools, and for those companies to make better tools so that it's easier and faster. And I am grateful for that because I've been able to talk to people that I haven't seen in years and interact with them in a much more convenient way. And everybody sort of knows how to do it now. And that is, while I feel apart, I'm not, hanging out with my friends during the week. I'm not going to meetups in person and getting free beer and pizza. But I am able to connect with far more people at my convenience or at our convenience to be able to interact and have to have a video moment. And I'm so thankful that distances between us have been shrunk and that we have an opportunity to renew relationships that maybe have been dormant for longer than they really deserve to be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so grateful for you for taking the time. Super excited that the technology appears to have worked. And just
it's not always the case.
No, I did a test run this morning and it was not pretty. So we're all glad that this one appears to be working. But yeah, thank you, Bill, for joining me today. I think it's so helpful, first of all, to not just have to see me and my spiritual practices on these Monday videos, but your honesty and vulnerability is so appreciated. And I think we can learn a lot from each other about how we take care of our spirits and just helping us to stay tuned for where God is in our lives. So thank you. Everybody out there in Facebook land, if you want to be a guest on this wonderful Monday live stream, please let me know. Clearly it works and it wasn't too painful, right, Bill?
It was so easy and it was fun.
Yay! All right. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.